Hey guys, what's going on? It's your girl Jessica. We're about to get into the topic. We're going to be talking about mental illness. So please subscribe if these messages bless you. Subscribe somewhere down there. Click on that, okay? So we're about to rock and roll. Hold tight. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was "Love Changes Everything" by Red Rocks Worship. All right, so today, what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about mental illness. I'm super excited about this because this is a real issue. There is such a stigma when it comes to mental illness, especially in the church. It's something that not everyone, I'll just say it's something that we don't understand fully. It's something to where we are assuming a lot, and we battle as Christians whether this is a thing that is okay to deal with, right? I think one of the biggest struggles is, well, if I'm Christian, then I should have the faith to overcome this, right? Isn't depression a demonic attack? Isn't anxiety a demonic attack? And we struggle with this. I know that I am not the only one who has struggled with that thought process. I have one of my good friends who works with me. Her name is Lucy. She's here with us today. How are you doing, Lucy?
Hi, Jess. I'm great. Thank you for having me today.
I am so glad that you're here. So, Lucy, when it comes down to this stigma, do you feel as though, in general, there is a stigma about mental illness, period, in the church?
Definitely. I think a lot of us as Christians, we believe that we should be able to handle it just based on our faith and through prayer. Yeah, and those are great tools to have, and we should operate in those as well as counting on people and being able to talk to other people about the struggles that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I think as a church, that is exactly what God has called us to do, to build up our brothers and our sisters and edify each other up.
Exactly, and that's definitely true. I know that for me, for a very long time, and I still struggle with this, I wouldn't even talk about, I wouldn't touch mental illness from the platform. Whenever I am speaking, I don't touch it because I was always kind of on the fence when it came down to that. Part of me really was like, okay, well, medicine is a good thing, right? But then wait a second, you should be delivered from all of that stuff. Do you think that there is, Lucy, areas where, okay, medicine is warranted, and is it always a demonic attack?
I think, mental illness can go back generations.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yeah, medication is warranted, especially when you're dealing with major depression. Sometimes medication is warranted, and that's not to say that you're not strong enough in your faith or you're not a good enough Christian or that God's going to love you even less. God is very good in the sense that He has given us tools to use here on earth, along with our spiritual tools, and sometimes that is the medication that we need to be taking.
And that's definitely good. I know that is something that I struggled with because I past couple of months got on antidepressants, and for years it was, I just felt like I just need to get it together, right? I just need to get it together. My prayer life wasn't where it needed to be, or I'm trying to find an excuse as to why I'm struggling. My prayer life isn't where I need to be. Somewhere I'm missing it. Somewhere I'm in active disobedience. Somewhere I'm in sin, and it's just like, all right, Jessica, just get a hold of it. And when you get a hold of your relationship with God, right? Many of us hear that. When you get your relationship with God right, you won't struggle with those things. And I found in my life that I was just drowning until I hit my own personal rock bottom. The beginning of this year, I was like, I can't, So let me try medicine, even though I refused for so long to even acknowledge that that could be an issue. And the moment I got on it, the moment I found a medicine that fit for me, like it was like night and day, honestly. I felt so much better. And so I think that we can, in tandem, work on our relationship with God and take medicine, because sometimes if we aren't where we need to be mentally, it's difficult to even work on our relationship with God.
Right. And I think there's a lot of stigma as far as taking medication as a Christian, because then it pushes on our faith. Do we really trust God to be the healer? And yes, He is the healer of our bodies and our emotions.
Yeah.
However, we have to do our part in the physical sense. God
That's
said
good.
that we're going to have struggles in this world, but take heart, that and he has overcome the world. I know when we talked about earlier in the year about getting on medication, I know for me personally, I had to be on medication for many years, and I struggled with mental illness and anxiety and suicidal tendencies. And, you know, it was the promise of God and his word and taking the medication, understanding that the medication with God is helping change my body and my mind and the way my mind thinks. And as I walked that out, I could definitely see the difference. I wasn't putting my faith in the medication, but I was putting my faith in God as I took the medication.
That's good. And you don't have to necessarily be on the medication for the rest of your life, correct?
Right. Correct. I think it's a process. And you know, it's like getting off medication really has to be supervised by your physician.
Yeah.
And God will lead you when it's time to get off the medication, but not being able to talk about the real issues of what's going on in your heart. As a church, we need to really talk about it. We need to get past the stigma. We're having, you know, people that are in leadership as pastors even taking their own lives. And that's something that we really have to look at. It makes you kind of think and wonder what was going on around him. Did he have resources? Did he have people to talk to outside of his wife?
That's good.
That he could reach out to and talk to. Even Rick Warren's son, when he committed suicide years ago, he was struggling with mental illness for a long time. And I'm sure it hurt them to have to accept the fact that their son took his life, but they also understood the disease process of it.
Yeah.
And so they turned to their faith, and they've moved past that season in their lives, but they're very active about talking about mental illness nowadays.
That's good. And so even at Saddleback, Rick Warren's church, you know, that's where Celebrate Recovery developed. And so they have an amazing, within that program, 12-step Christ in a Recovery program, they have a lot of resources when it's like discussing mental illness to give you so that you can educate yourself or educate your team pertaining to the topic. And that's what I love. You were talking about a pastor before. Are we talking about the pastor of, what is it, Inland Church?
Inland Church. What's his name? Andrew Stockland.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know, just thinking about what he was going through. You know, the Bible talks about other men and women that have gone through depression. And even though it doesn't specifically say depression, the Bible uses terms such as downcast and brokenhearted and troubled and miserable and despairing, mourning. All of these allude to a heaviness in their spirit. David was one of those men. Elijah, after his great battle with the prophet of Baal, you know, he struggled with it to the point of, you know, 1 Kings 19:4 says, "I have had enough, Lord," he said. "Take my life. I am not better than my ancestors." So even if these mighty men were dealing with an emotional conflict or mental instability, how can we not be dealing with the same things?
That's good. That's good. And sometimes, you know, I'm like, well, where does it talk about mental illness in the Bible? And I'm literally looking for something to say mental illness. But those are that's amazing point that you brought up, Lucy, talking about those key words to allude to the fact that, okay, these people are normal and they had emotional issues even after victories, things of the sort. They still struggled emotionally within themselves regarding this, that, or the other. And so we are not above that. So, you know, yes, it's relying on God. Yes, it's coming to God, making him number one in our life, and just really just not being in denial about things and putting God first so that, you know, he can change us. But at the same time, there may be things to where we need medication to balance out a chemical imbalance that you may have. And you know, doubling that up, of course, you know, counseling is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, anyone who's been through, let's just say, a traumatic event. I know growing up, for a period, I saw a counselor, and it helped me immensely. You know, the teenager growing up who was totally rebelling, hated mom, hated dad, you know, wished they were dead, you know, just the works. Having a counselor for a couple of years really helped me to figure out my feelings and my emotions. And even then, they prescribed medicine. I was thinking back, and I was like, man, they prescribed me medicine, but I was like, I don't want to take that. But because of that, I really feel like I never fully got out of that funk. My funk became normal. And for so many of us, that type of thinking, that type of emotional, like just where we are, if it's not a good place, we get used to it to where we go, well, this is, I guess, just normal. This is just life. And that's not true. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not true at all. Jackie Hill Perry, I absolutely love her. She is someone who I started following years ago. She said this, I saw it last night. Well, no, this is actually a tweet from a year ago. It says, counseling is not for crazy people. Counseling is for human beings. Don't let anyone shame you away from receiving the help you need. And that is so true. There is nothing wrong with seeking a counselor. Yes, it's good to go to church and seek wise counsel and all that stuff. That's cool, but sometimes we need to seek someone who could take it deeper. Sometimes we need to seek someone who can give us, I mean, honestly, the psychology aspect behind it. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm taking a class and I'm just getting a little understanding of the psychological aspects just behind stuff, even development, what we're supposed to learn growing up, and if we don't learn it, how that affects us in the next stage of development. These things were starting to blow my mind. I'm like, wow, like I never thought of it this way. So when you get to a point where you're like, okay, I need to see a counselor, and they just say something like that, I mean, that type of wise counsel helps. Find a Christian counselor. That's fine. There's knowledge that people have that you need. You were saying, there's people out there that are saying, God, help me in this way. God, help me in that way. Help me to see this. Help me to understand that. And we are begging for it and pleading for it, but at the same time, we don't want to go into an avenue that we're unfamiliar with.
Right.
Or that if we tell people, they may question our faith, or we may question our faith because maybe we were brought up in a type of denomination to where it's like, yo, we don't do that. Right. We don't go to counselors. We don't do this. We act like we have it all together. How many of you guys feel like that? The family, as a family, we have it all together. You don't go share all that stuff with other people. That is not the way this works. We need to begin to break that stigma of mental illness and the lies that we have been told and believed for so many years, because it's not true. Let me put it like this. The stuff that you believe about mental illness, how much of it is a fact?
Right. And how much of it are we influenced by those around us? It's
Yes.
like you're saying, do we talk about these issues within family? The way they're going to think about us or what they're going to say about
That's
us.
good.
And, it's like we got to get past that, because this is about us. This is about surviving what God has planned for us already. And so sometimes we have to take that proactive approach into our own health, understanding that we're broken and we need help. And that's very hard to do. I think the strongest person is that person that can admit that they're weak and that they need help.
That's good.
There is no stigma in that. There is no shame in that.
Yeah.
Being able to have somebody to walk you through the process and trying to organize your thoughts and trying to help you uproot those issues that are maybe there from the past, or maybe they're generational curses or what have you, but that can expose those things and help you walk that out, especially with godly counsel.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's transformational.
Yeah, amen. And if we look at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the statistics are nuts, Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. Each year, 44,965 Americans die by suicide. And, that doesn't even include the suicide attempts.
Right.
Can you imagine that? Those are successful suicide attempts.
Right.
So imagine how many people attempted and didn't get the outcome that they so desired. It's nuts. It's nuts. There's so many statistics here, guys. But I encourage you, if you're struggling with even suicidal thoughts, find a place to where you can discuss that stuff with. I would encourage you to go check out Celebrate Recovery. It's a 12-step Christ in a Recovery program. And you can get on the website, www.celebraterecovery.com. You can go to the locator, put in your zip code, and find the nearest Celebrate Recovery near you. It's not just about if you're struggling with alcohol or drugs, but it's about whatever that hurt, habit, or hang up is. Whether you were abused, sexually abused, molested, a product of rape, you were, struggle with gossip or lying or cheating on your spouse, or premarital sex, whatever your thing is, there is a root cause to all of this.
Right.
And it's all about getting to the root and having someone to love you and walk you through it. Do you have anything else to say, Lucy?
I just want to add, if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts or you have a plan, just reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
That's the best thing, the best gift that you can give to yourself and to those around you. It may feel like it's everything you've got, but do that because you are loved, you are wanted.
Yes.
Just reach out to somebody, your pastors, go to even your nearest emergency room. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline, if you want that number, that is 1-800-273-8255, and it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But just reach out because, it's like you are loved and there is a purpose for your life. If we can get past this season, you'll see how God will operate and work in your life so that you can speak life over into somebody else.
Amen. Can you give that number again, my friend?
Yes, that number is 1-800-273-8255.
All right. And if you don't know it, you can get on Google and it'll pop right up. I love you, and I'm so glad to spend this hour with you guys. I have Cass coming up next. Do you? And again, if you want to follow me, you can check me out on at loveatthecross.com or YouTube, Love at the Cross. Here is Cass. Do you? All right, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe to me somewhere down there. I love you, and if this video edifies you, please share it with someone else. Love you. See you next time.